Hey folks, I'm Chris and I'm your Commander Mechanic. Today's tune-up is a mono blue mill deck submitted by viewer Magical Cactus. They write, "My favorite thing to do in Commander is mill. And with Bruvac, I just had to build this deck with him at the helm. I don't like using persistent petitioners, it's boring, and I don't want to include Cyclonic Rift. Can you help make the deck cheaper and more consistent?" Well, you've got an interesting request here, Cactus. We're essentially doing a tune-up with a budget downgrade, so we'll see what we can trim and cut to get us where it needs to be. Looking at the existing list, we're coming in just over $300 at the time of recording, and the budget is concentrated in a few pieces in particular. First is our commander, Bruvac. Bruvac is a 3-mana human advisor that doubles all mill. Pretty plain, pretty simple, pretty effective. He's the inspiration for the deck, enabling a few ways to combo with one card to just win the game. But Bruvac sits at $20 currently, which is a decent part of the budget. Mill decks don't need Bruvac to do well, and potentially pivoting your commander to Phenax, God of Deception, or Sidisi, Brood Tyrant can change your whole strategy and net you more colors to play with. But if that's not an option, we have a few other culprits. Nykthos Shrine to Nyx is over $20 currently, and while you are a mono blue deck, your curve is incredibly effective at under 3 mana value on average. So what are you pumping that extra mana into? It's not likely to ramp you ahead too far, and your lack of X casting cost spells to sink extra mana into is a null spot in your list. Consider this on the chopping block. Then we have Rhystic Study. This is easily one of the best draw engines in our format and is priced accordingly at $35. While this is going to be what keeps your hand full, you can replace it with other one-time effects to fire off when you need it, rather than pay the premium for ongoing card advantage generation. Speaking of draw engines, you also have Consecrated Sphinx in the list. The Sphinx is another ongoing card advantage engine like Rhystic Study, so it's no surprise that it's costed along the same at $35. Yes, it's an advantage engine, but it is a big chunk of your budget too. And then lastly of the big expensive cards in the list is Painter's Servant. This card achieved the rare feat of escaping the commander ban list, but retained its post-unbanning price spike. The unique effect of making all cards in play and in libraries a chosen color is a premium because of its combo potential. Most often comboed with a Grindstone or a Sphinx's Tutelage, like you have in this list, it results in the ability to mill every card in a targeted opponent's library in one shot. It also makes it the most expensive card in your deck at about $55, a full 15% of your deck's total cost. If you want to make it cheaper to build this list in paper, this cut is my first recommendation. So now the question is, what can we add in? Ideally, we want to find 2 sources of card draw, a land, and 2 mill sources to keep your list relatively 1-to-1. For draw sources, I'd start with Archmage Emeritus. Not only does this fill one of your spots vacated by a creature, but it gives you a source to draw off of the over 20 spells you have in your list. Turning 20% of your deck into cantrips and replacing themselves is going to be a great way to make sure you've got things to cast every turn. My next recommendation as a draw source is Patient Rebuilding. At 5 mana, this enchantment only works on your turn, but during your upkeep mills an opponent for 3, or 6 with Bruvac out, and draws you a card for each land milled this way. This can easily draw you at least 1 card each turn if your opponent is running 30 land on average, but can also do nothing but mill an opponent a few cards. You are more likely to draw with Bruvac out, on average at least 2 cards, but it still serves as a synergistic piece for what you're looking to do, and costs less than $1. Now to replace Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, I would recommend Castle Vantress. It doesn't have the raw mana generation power of Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, but it does help some of your other issues. For instance, unused mana that you may be holding up for a Disrupt or a Hinder can instead be sunk into the castle to scry 2. Remember, draw fixing can be more valuable than raw card draw with the right quantities of each in your deck. Now for 2 more mill sources, I'd recommend we start with Dreamborn Muse. This fills the other creature slot vacated by removing Painter's Servant or Consecrated Sphinx, and mills each player, including you, on each of their upkeeps. This means that your opponents feel the effects of this before you do, and it's a potential source to draw a lot of hate, and that's hate that won't be cast on Bruvac. Lastly, a newer spell from Modern Horizons 2 in Fractured Sanity. With a triple blue casting cost, this was made for mono blue decks. It mills each opponent for 14 cards at sorcery speed. An incredible 28 cards with Bruvac out, but can also cycle at instant speed for 2 mana with the added upside of drawing you a card and milling each opponent for 4 or 8 with Bruvac. That's very efficient for the cost and is on par with some of your other best mill spells. It definitely deserves a spot. So now that we've handled the downgrade, how would we handle an upgrade? If we wanted to add in some pieces instead, where would I start? Well, I would start with the new Tasha's Hideous Laughter. This is a great spell that doesn't mill, so it isn't doubled by Bruvac, but instead it exiles 20 mana value worth of cards. Against decks with an average curve of 3 mana and 30 lands, this is going to exile about 10 cards from each opponent. That's a decent return on a 3 mana value spell. Then there's Sapphire Medallion. For a monocolored deck, the medallions do real work every time. And in this list, despite multiple 1 mana value spells, we will end up netting you dozens of mana over the course of a game every time you cast a blue spell. While it is a little pricey, it can be a core mana engine in any mono blue deck. Lastly, big surprise, I'd recommend some clones for the list. This is my favorite thing to do in the game, but with a commander like Bruvac, getting multiple copies of him is insane. So let's add in both flavors of Sakashima and Spark Double. Being able to have multiple Bruvacs doubles your doubles and is devastating. It turns something that mills for 4 into something that mills for 16. That is enough to take somebody out in 2 or 3 spells. Take a quick look at the list in the description below and let me know what you think. Where would you cut to save and what would you add in? Do you think this can work at an even lower budget? Tell me in the comments below. And a big thanks to Magical Cactus for submitting the deck. As always, folks, good luck and have fun. As always, thanks to all of our patrons for helping to support the channel. I honestly could not do this without all of your help. A special shout out to our Lodestone Golems, Ben Frayne, Sterling Langford, Will Briggs, Ben Davis, David Neri, Corey Whitaker, Snipes, and Cameron Scott. And our Metalwork Colossi, Austin Charlotte, Charles Olson, Matthew Chandler, Pulsating Kiwi, Raphael Lum, Wyatt M, Timothy Conan, Matt Oakes, Stephen Dunn, Jeremiah Lewis, and newest addition, Wellsford Ranger. Thank you, everyone.